Manchester United are considering a shock swap deal involving Mason Greenwood and Juventus star. Michael Olise deal below, with him agreeing terms with his next club, and it is not Manchester United. And Joshua Zirkzee deal deadline set. These are some of the stories we will be discussing on this morning's live show. But before we get into that, please smash a like on today's video. Let's try and see 200 likes on this morning's show. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel. I was looking at the YouTube analytics yesterday, and only 50% of people who watch our videos are subscribed. So if you're one of those people who isn't, please do subscribe. Get involved here on Daily Red Devil for all of your latest Manchester United transfer news and talk. Right, let's start the show off by talking a little bit about some outgoings then, shall we? Because I know a lot of people in the fan base are really looking at Ineos this summer and are expecting a big clearance, effectively. A lot of people want players to go, and I'm one of them. And the first player that we can bring you an update on is Victor Lindelof. So the headline this morning is that apparently Jose Mourinho, the new Fenerbahce manager, is looking to bring Lindelof over to Turkey. I would have no issue with this. Apparently Manchester United are asking for about 15 million euros. Fenerbahce have offered around 10, but there is an understanding that they will find some sort of middle ground, somewhere between 10 and 15 million euros, which I know is not that much money, but when you think that he's, I think, 30 this year, maybe in a month or two, he's only got 1 year left of his contract. He's on quite high wages. It's probably fair, all things considered, because effectively, if Man United don't sell Victor Lindelof now and they're not willing to give him a new contract, he'll leave next summer for free. So you either get 10, 15 million euros now in the bank and you clear somebody on massive wages, about 150k a week, or you keep him. He probably plays maybe 10, maybe 15 games next season at a push, and then you get nothing for him. So you have to ask yourself, is Victor Lindelof worth keeping around for 10, 15 games, or would you rather have 10, 15 million euros plus save about 10 million euros in wages, 20 to 25 million euros would probably be how much it would cost to keep Lindelof versus how much we'd get from selling him / clearing the wages. So for me, it's a no-brainer. I think Willy Camboala could come through as the 4th or 5th choice centre-back. Obviously, we've got Martinez. Johnny Evans looks like he's going to get a new contract. I don't think Harry Maguire is going to go anywhere personally. I know a lot of people would like Harry Maguire to be sold, but I just personally don't think Harry Maguire will leave. I think he'll probably stay until next summer. I think he's a lot more hard to sell than Lindelof for various reasons. Harry Maguire is 2 years older than Lindelof. He's on even more money than Lindelof. I think he's on about 200k a week, Harry Maguire. So yeah, I think the likelihood of Harry Maguire leaving this summer is probably quite small. He has also only got 1 year left of his contract, Harry Maguire, but he does have the option of an extra year. And you know what, being completely honest, I don't actually have much of an issue with Maguire staying, because I just don't think we're going to get an offer that would be acceptable. I know we had offers last summer, which we rejected. Harry Maguire didn't want to leave. Victor Lindelof will probably be more than happy to go and play in the Turkish league for Fenerbahce, Whereas I just don't think Harry Maguire has the aspirations, the desire, the mentality. I don't know. I don't know why. I just have that feeling about him. He seems like, he's got the golden ticket. He's come to Manchester United from Leicester. Why would he ever want to leave? It's just not going to happen. Whereas Victor Lindelof can go off to Turkey, reunite with Mourinho, play in the Champions League, probably earn a similar amount of money as what he's earning now, probably get a 3-4 year contract, maybe even become the captain there. Do you know what I mean? He'll go there and he'll do well. He'll probably win trophies with Mourinho at Fenerbahce. So whereas Harry Maguire's options would probably be going to Everton or going to Wolves or going to someone in the bottom half of the table. So yeah, Victor Lindelof to Fenerbahce, that's one to keep an eye on. I think we'll probably get confirmation on that in the next couple of weeks. Obviously, Sweden aren't at the Euros, so this is kind of the time where we'll see lots of deals happening with players who aren't at the Euros. So Victor Lindelof, Jadon Sancho, Mason Greenwood. Those are the types of players we'll be talking about for the next couple of weeks, because effectively a lot of other people are at the Euros. Their focus is on other things. Moving over to Michael Olise. Now, I don't know how many of you will have seen this story. It broke last night from David Ornstein, but Chelsea have officially walked away from the Michael Olise deal. So Chelsea are out of the race, but apparently Bayern Munich have triggered his release clause. Apparently it's around £55 million. And it looks like Michael Olise is now going to be joining Bayern Munich. That is all but confirmed. David Ornstein came out last night saying that he broke an exclusive. I think it was about 10 o'clock last night, breaking an exclusive. I'll read it for you right now. It says, exclusive, Michael Olise has chosen to join Bayern Munich. Bayern Munich were among 3 clubs interested in him. The 3 clubs he names were Bayern Munich, Chelsea and Newcastle, which is interesting. So David Ornstein, who in my opinion is probably the most reliable journalist in world football at the moment, saying that Man United were never actually interested in Michael Olise and were never in the race for him. It says 3 clubs contacted Crystal Palace last week, and now Michael Olise is expected to agree a deal. Bayern Munich are expected to agree a deal with Crystal Palace for 22-year-old winger whose contract includes a release clause. So yeah, Chelsea out of the race. Bayern Munich now about to sign Michael Olise. Now, one thing was really, really interesting about this Olise deal, right? Apparently Olise asked, you ready for this? Olise asked for £220,000 a week. And that's why Chelsea pulled out of the race for him, because they weren't willing to pay that. I mean, that is absolutely mental, isn't it? I'm sorry. There is no way on earth that Michael Olise is worth £220,000 a week. Even if you look at Chelsea, right, who overpay players. Cole Palmer, who's probably, their best player last season. Cole Palmer is paid £75,000 a week at Chelsea. So Michael Olise was effectively asking for 3 times what Cole Palmer earns. I mean, that's absolutely mental, isn't it? If you compare that with Manchester United, right? 220k a week would be the amount of money that Bruno Fernandes gets paid. Garnacho, who's probably our best winger, is paid 50k a week. So Michael Olise, who, let's be honest, isn't a better player than Garnacho, in my opinion, was effectively asking for 4.5 times what Garnacho was earning. Even if you look at Mason Greenwood, I know how much some people, rate Mason Greenwood. Mason Greenwood's only on 50k a week at United. So his wage demands were absolutely ridiculous. It would have been more than Martinez, more than Eriksen, more than Luke Shaw, more than even Jadon Sancho, who people criticise for earning too much money. Michael Olise was asking for more money than what Jadon Sancho earns, more money than Anthony, more money than Bruno. He would have been our second highest player after Marcus Rashford. I mean, that's just crazy. So I'll be honest with you, I don't really think we need Michael Olise. I don't really see the point in signing him. We've got Amad Diallo, who I think deserves more than an opportunity. I think Amad is a very, very good player. I think he could definitely come into that team and offer us probably the same amount as what Olise would have offered, Olise's only had 1 or 2 good seasons. It's not like he's been doing it for the last 10 or 20 years. Not 10 or 20 years, like 5 years, whatever. So yeah, I'll be honest with you, I'm not disappointed about Olise whatsoever. I think we desperately need to sign other players in other positions. We need a striker, we need a midfielder, we need a centre-back. I would much rather us spend our money on that than spend 55 million on Michael Olise, who, let's be honest, he's a good player, but I don't think he's world-class. And for the amount of money he was asking a week, I honestly think it was disgusting, being honest. But Bayern Munich are willing to pay it. Bayern have absolutely no issue paying it. Bayern Munich pay pretty high wages. I couldn't believe it when I looked at Harry Kane's wage at Bayern Munich. Harry Kane earns £500,000 a week at Bayern Munich. Leroy Sané earns nearly 400,000 a week at Bayern Munich. Serge Gnabry earns 360k a week at Bayern Munich. Kingsley Coman, 340k a week at Bayern Munich. So you can see how Michael Olise's wage demands fits within Bayern's wage structure. Whereas even at Man United, where we overpay, giving Olise 220k a week would have been one of the stupidest decisions I think we could have made. But let me know what you guys think about that. Everyone who's just joined the video, if you could do me a small favour and smash a like, that would be really, really appreciated. We've got over 300 people watching live now, which is absolutely incredible. Let's see if we can hit 200 likes on this morning's show. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe to the channel as well. I go live every single day in the morning and in the evening. And YouTube has reminded me that only 50% of people who watch these live streams are subscribed. So if you're one of those 50% who isn't subscribed, please do subscribe, get involved. And yeah, everyone is welcome. Right, let's see what people are saying in the chat. Let me just have a little sip of my tea. Somebody says all YouTubers reported Olise being a main target. I don't think I ever reported that. I mean, it's common sense though, really. Like, why would Olise be a main target? It doesn't actually make any sense. If you break down the Olise deal, right? How many centre-backs do we have? Martinez, Willy Camboala, Lindelof and Maguire. Because Johnny Evans' contract expired. We've got 4 centre-backs. 2 of which should be sold, Maguire and Lindelof. Willy Camboala should be loaned out. So we've only really got 1 first-choice centre-back in Martinez. Yeah? Then you move over to our midfield. McTominay, not a CDM. We don't have any CDMs is the point I'm making. Whereas if you look at the right wing position, right? We have on our books, so players that are still owned by Manchester United, you've got Sancho, Garnacho, Ahmad, Pellistri, Anthony. Bruno can play on the right wing. Rashford can play on the right wing. Garnacho can play on the right wing. We've effectively got 8 players who can play as a right winger. Right? Why would we need Michael Olise? If we got rid of Ahmad, Pellistri, Sancho, Greenwood, Anthony, then yeah, great, go and sign Olise, you know? But at the moment, spending 55, 60 million pounds on Olise and giving him 220k a week, it doesn't make any sense. It's completely illogical. And I'm glad that Ineos have walked away from this because the priority positions, what I've been told for months and months and months, are as a striker, a midfielder, and a centre-back. So why go and blow our budget on a right winger who has had quite a lot of injuries, has only had 1 or 2 seasons in the Premier League, wants ridiculous wages, and is going to cost you 55, 60 million pounds in transfer fee? Like, it doesn't make sense. So I actually commend Ineos for walking away from this. I know I've already seen people on Twitter saying, oh, it's a disgrace. Ineos are a disgrace. Like, how have we missed out on Michael Olise? Like, I think a lot of the time on Twitter, people just be reactionary just to get clicks, just to get likes, to cause a stir. Because can anybody really sit there at home and be like that upset that we didn't get Michael Olise? Like, really? It just doesn't make sense to me, but I guess people just like to argue, don't they? Well, let's see what else people is saying in the chat. Vikram says, Michael Olise is better than Garnacho. There is a reason why Bayern signed him. Bayern signed him because they need a right winger. That's the reason why they signed him. It's pretty simple, really. Garnacho's not available. So it's not like Michael Olise and Garnacho are both available for 60 million and they've chosen Michael Olise. Michael Olise has a release clause. He wants to leave, and Bayern Munich need a right winger. Manchester United don't need a right winger, don't have the money to pay his release clause. So it's a stupid comparison, being honest. Like, do you know what I mean? And I personally think Garnacho's better. I think, or at least they're on a level playing field. I don't think you can sit there at home and say for a fact Garnacho is not as good as Michael Olise. Like, what's that based on? I think they've both probably hit the same heights in their first kind of few seasons in the Premier League, haven't they? And you've got to remember that Garnacho's only 19 years of age, whereas Olise's 22, you know? Garnacho's 3 years behind him in his development. Where was Olise at Garnacho's age? Olise was playing in the Championship. He only just broke through into the Crystal Palace team. Was it last season? Yeah, it was. Yeah, like literally last season. The rest of that time, he was playing for Reading in the Championship. So, yeah. Michael Olise, that deal is not happening. 100%. Man United are out of that race. He will join Bayern Munich. We'll probably get confirmation, pictures of him in the shirts in the next kind of week or so. The deal is effectively done. So anybody who wanted Michael Olise, we won't be talking about him again. This is the last time we will speak about Michael Olise on this channel. He is going to Bayern Munich. Yeah, it's done. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat. Godson says, I wouldn't even give Michael Olise 170k a week. Mate, neither would I. The fact that we pay Garnacho 50k a week, why on earth would you pay Michael Olise 220k a week? I think it's absolutely crazy, being honest. And I think Manchester United are really, really clever here, how they've they've stayed away from a player who's going to continue that trend of overpaying on wages. We need to bring in young and hungry people who will come in and feel like they have a point to prove, you know? Whereas I feel like asking for 220k a week doesn't tell us that you have a point to prove. You're coming in expecting to be one of the highest earned players at the club when, let's be honest, you haven't done anything to deserve that, in my opinion, really. You've had 1 or 2 good seasons in the Premier League. Like, that doesn't mean that you should now be the second highest player at Manchester United, you know, on the same level of money as Bruno Fernandes, who's been doing it year in, year out for the last 6 years, both on the international stage and in the Premier League. Whereas Michael Olise is not even in the France squad. Like, I don't know. He's playing for them in the Olympics. Garnacho's off at the Copa America with Argentina, whereas Michael Olise sat at home probably playing FIFA. Like, yeah. Anyway, that's enough about Michael Olise. I think I've got nothing to complain about with this. Let's see what the poll was as well. I've got a little question for you as well. The question I've got for you is this. Would you swap Mason Greenwood for Federico Chiesa? Let me know in the comment section. We'll be talking about it in a minute. I want people to get as many comments and stuff in as they can so I can read them all. But yeah, it's a simple question. Would you do a swap deal? Mason Greenwood joins Juventus and Chiesa joins Manchester United. Let me know in the comment section. And before we get on to the next part of the show, we've got over 400 people watching live now, which is absolutely amazing. If everyone could do me a small little favour on this Saturday morning and give the video a thumbs up. And if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe as well. We're only 5 subscribers away from 23,700. So if this is your first time watching, please do subscribe. As I said earlier on in the show, I was shocked to find out that only 50% of people who watch our videos are subscribed, which blew my mind a little bit. Considering the videos are free, it doesn't cost any money. I'd obviously appreciate everybody to support by liking and subscribing to the channel. Okay, I'm going to go over to the comments section now and read out a few of your comments. Let's see what people are saying this morning. Somebody says, I would love us to sign João Neves and Lenny Yoro. It would be insane. Yes, I would very much like to see that. I would. I think that would be an incredible 2 players. We'll talk about both of those signings in a minute. Milas says, we've got Sancho, Greenwood, Anthony, Rashford, Ahmad. How many wingers do we need? Yeah, I agree with you, mate. It's ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. Albert says, what about Guirassy? He's gone to Dortmund. Yeah, we're not going to get Guirassy. He's out of the picture. Somebody says, will you watch the rugby game today? South Africa versus Wales. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't really like rugby at all. I only really like football and tennis. And that's kind of it, sports-wise. I'm not really into that much else. What else have we got? CBK says, Zirkzee is better than Weghorst. Okay. All right, let's move on from that then. Let's get on with the rest of the show. Let's talk a little bit about Mason Greenwood then, because I know a lot of people will be very, very interested to know the news on this one. So this is coming out from various different Italian outlets this morning, saying that apparently Juventus are set to offer a swap deal involving Federico Chiesa in exchange for Mason Greenwood. Now, I want you to let me know what you think about this, okay? They both play on the same position. They're both right wingers. They're both similar age. Mason Greenwood's a couple of years younger. But the thing I like about Chiesa is he's versatile. I know Mason Greenwood's versatile as well, but Chiesa can play as a left winger, a right winger, and as a striker, which I think would give us a lot of options, you know, because we desperately need another striker. In my opinion, we need 2 strikers. But yeah, I would personally do this deal. I think it would be a really, really good deal to do. I think they're both worth a similar type amount of money, somewhere between 30 and 50 million pounds. Chiesa got 9 goals and 3 assists last season in Serie A in 33 games, which is about a goal or an assist every 3 games, roughly, give or take. Something around that kind of figure. So he wasn't prolific, but he did quite well. Whereas if you compare that to Mason Greenwood, he got 8 goals and 6 assists in 33 games. So Mason Greenwood's record was a little bit better. He got, what did he get? He got 3 more assists and 1 less goal. So I would say overall it's kind of pretty balanced out, isn't it? You know, by way of by way of record last season. If you look at the kind of bookies, what they're predicting, the three main clubs there's five clubs now that are interested in Mason Greenwood. You've got Valencia, who submitted a bid of 30 million. You've got Lazio, who've submitted a bid of 30 million. You've got Juventus, who apparently are trying to do some sort of swap deal. We've seen Douglas Luiz moving from Aston Villa to Juventus, and they're sending, I think, two Juventus players are joining Aston Villa in exchange for Douglas Luiz. So the theme for Juventus this transfer window seems to be swap deals. But then the other two clubs are Borussia Dortmund, who obviously apparently don't have the money for Jadon Sancho, which I think is an absolute joke. And then there's another club which caught me by a little bit of surprise this morning, is Fenerbahce. Apparently they have entered the race as well. Obviously, as I said earlier on in the show, Jose Mourinho is the new manager of what do you call them? Fenerbahce. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Mason Greenwood. I think he has plenty of options out there. I would definitely do this swap deal though. I think Chiesa would be a really welcomed addition to our squad. As I said, his versatility would be massively beneficial at Manchester United. But the question or the problem I have with this deal is, I don't know whether Chiesa would want to join Manchester United. I don't know why. I don't know. This is just my opinion. I haven't been told this by anybody or read this anywhere. He's played in Italy all his life. Obviously, he's Italian. Would he want to join Manchester United? He's going from a club who are playing in the Champions League next season and moving to a team who are going to be in the Europa League. Now, being completely honest, there's one thing that can always override these emotions. And I think we all know what that is. Money. If Man United offered him loads of money, I'm sure he would probably come. But again, that takes me back to the Michael Olise thing. We need to get rid of the days where we give players stupid money. You go and approach somebody, right? Say we go and approach Chiesa and he says, you know what? I don't really want to come to Manchester United, but let me know how much you're willing to offer and I'll have a think about it. Like, we want people to join Manchester United who are desperate to play for the club, for the badge. You see how much Kobe Mainoo and Garnacho and Højlund and Ahmad and Martinez, you see how much they give for Manchester United on the pitch. They give 150% every single game. I'll put McTominay in that bracket as well. I don't think he's very good, but I think he does try. Like, you can see how much it means to those types of players. Dalot as well. I think Dalot tries as well. But some of the other players that we've signed, walking about, don't look interested, just happy to cash in their wages. Like, we need to turn away from those types of players. We need to break the cycle. And I just fear that although Federico Chiesa is a good player, a very good player, I don't know. I think he's already established in Italy. He's in the Champions League with Juventus. He's playing for the biggest club in Italy, probably other than AC Milan. I don't know. It just worries me a little bit, and I think Ineos need to be very, very careful about what who they sign and whether it affects the wage structure and stuff. So in relation to wages, Federico Chiesa is currently on €178,000 per week, which is about £150,000. So it's not crazy money. It's a reasonable amount of money. If you compare that with, say, some of our other players, I mean, who would you put in the same bracket as Chiesa? Maybe Jadon Sancho, maybe? Jadon Sancho earns about 200k a week at the moment. Anthony earns 200k a week. So I imagine if Chiesa joined Manchester United, he would ask for about 200k a week, which would be a 50k a week increase on what he's earning at Juventus, which is probably fair, probably. But my fear is that he would only come for the money. Maybe he says, oh, I want 300k a week. Like, I don't know. But I believe in Ineos enough that if that was the case, they would walk away from it. Somebody in the chat saying, I don't think we need another winger, so we should just not do the swap deal. Yeah, lots of people saying I don't want to do a swap deal. That's obviously fair enough. Name Unknown says we should try and swap Pellistri for Chiesa. I don't think that will happen, to be honest, mate. I don't think Pellistri is on the level of Chiesa. Like, Pellistri will leave the club this summer, I think, but I don't think it will be in exchange for for Chiesa. I would be very, very surprised if that was the case. But obviously, you never know in football, things can happen. But yeah, obviously, let me know in the comment section. Would you like to see Federico Chiesa join Manchester United? And do you think that swapping him for Mason Greenwood would be a fair deal for everybody? I think it would be. Just to summarise, I think it would be a good deal, but I just worry about whether he would actually be coming for the right reasons. Maybe he would. Maybe it comes out that he was a boyhood Man United fan, and it's his dream to play for Man United. Maybe that's the case, but I just feel like probably he'd be coming for the money, and I feel like it probably wouldn't work because we've got too many players at Man United who are just hanging around because they're on big money, realistically. We've got too many players at Man United who know they're never going to be paid the amount of money that they are at Manchester United by another club. You think of Harry Maguire. Last summer, he had the opportunity to move to West Ham and become their starting centre-back every single game, and he didn't want to go because they didn't offer him the amount of money he wanted. You think of people like Luke Shaw on 150k a week and is injured 50% of the time. Luke Shaw's never going to leave Manchester United unless his contract expires. Why would he? No one's going to give Luke Shaw that type of money. I like Luke Shaw. I think he's good, but do you know what I mean? And you even look down to people like Anthony Martial. He was on 250k a week. He probably played 10 times in the last 5 years. Why would he ever leave Manchester United unless obviously he has left now because his contract's expired, but to that point, he just kept refusing to leave because he was sat there saying, I'm on 250k a week. No one's going to offer me probably even 100k a week to leave, so I'm just going to chill. And I just fear that you bring in someone like Chiesa, you give him massive money, you probably wants a 5-year contract. What happens if it doesn't work after 1 year? What do you do then? He just sits on the bench and you pay him 250k a week. So yeah, that's my only concern about him. Lumen says, Kieran, would you prefer to do a swap deal or just sell him for 30 million? I would probably rather just sell Mason Greenwood and reinvest the money elsewhere, personally, because selling Mason Greenwood will really help our financial fair play if we get money for him. Because obviously, he's came through the youth academy. So if we say got 30, 40 million for Greenwood, that would be classed as 100% profit. So, I think selling him is actually a much better option for Manchester United and will allow us to go and spend that money on players we actually need to buy, opposed to another winger, which we don't really need, do we, to be honest? But as CBK says, selling players will help with financial fair play. Exactly. Stephen says, do we even need another winger? Just keep what we have and see if Amad Diallo can be a starter. And if Anthony finds his feet, I would much rather go and spend the money on a CDM or centre-back. We need 2 centre-backs. Yeah, 100%, mate. 100%. We need 2 centre-backs, a CDM, a striker, a left-back probably, maybe a right-back. I honestly think wingers are the bottom of our priority list at the moment. But let me know what you guys think about all that in the comments section. Okay, let's move over to Joshua Zirkzee then really quickly. So, in relation to Joshua Zirkzee, apparently talks are now ongoing between Manchester United and his agent. They're trying to agree on this slippery agent fee. Apparently, he wants to join Manchester United, is what I'm reading. Now, the deadline is this. On the 1st of July, his release clause becomes active. Apparently, it's £33.8 million is the release clause. So, Manchester United effectively need to have everything in order by the 1st of July. And then they need to trigger the release clause on the 1st of July. And then he'll become a Manchester United player. So the 1st of July is a week on Monday. So not very long to go, like literally 8 or 9 days. I think this deal will be done. I would be absolutely shocked if Man United don't sign him. But it is worth noting that apparently Arsenal and AC Milan are still sniffing around. But apparently Joshua Zirkzee's preference is to join Manchester United. So I think we'll get him. I think I'd be very surprised if we don't get Joshua Zirkzee, but you never know what can happen with Manchester United. Like the amount of times that we've been this close to signing someone and then they go somewhere else, like it happens too much. But the general consensus is that we're willing to trigger the release clause. No issues there. No issues on the wages. So I think that in the next 10 days, we'll probably get a here we go for Joshua Zirkzee. Maybe even sooner, hopefully. But yeah, I think it's the correct decision. I've got absolutely no issues with it whatsoever. But let me know if you're excited about Joshua Zirkzee in the comment section. I am very excited about him. Let's see what people are saying in the chat quickly before I end the video. Albert says, what about Joshua Kimmich? I heard he might leave Bayern Munich. Yeah, I don't think Kimmich will come to Manchester United, to be honest with you, mate. Like, Kimmich is a good player. But I think Joshua Kimmich is kind of like a Glazers signing, like a signing of the old, you know, where we'd go and buy him for 80, 90 million. Crazy money, probably. Yeah, I think Joshua Kimmich will probably stay at Bayern Munich. He's got 1 year left of his deal. Apparently, he wants a new contract. So we're going to be linked to him probably until he gets himself a new contract. And the thing with Kimmich is he's on 375k a week. So if we're trying to sort our wage bill out, can we really pay Joshua Kimmich 375k a week, which is about £20 million a year for us to play in the Europa League? Like, probably not. But yeah, I like Joshua Kimmich. He's a good player, but I wouldn't personally go for him. People in the comment section are asking about Rabiot. Apparently, Man United are interested in Rabiot. Apparently, Erik ten Hag really wants him. We obviously tried to sign him last summer. His contract expires at... where does he play now? Juventus. Is that right? My brain's not working this morning. Yeah, he plays at Juventus. So Adrien Rabiot's contract expires on the 1st of July, so next Monday. I would like to see Rabiot. I would. I think he's a good player. I think he'd be a really, really good signing. Yeah, but it's just, again, it all just depends on the wages. He's on about 150k a week at the moment. I think last time we tried to sign him, his agent, which is his mother, wanted a massive commission up front. And he also wanted crazy wages. But the general news is that apparently Adrien Rabiot is waiting for Manchester United. Like, he wants to come to Manchester United. But we'll just have to wait and see if that one happens. I think, again, it all depends on money. It depends on whether his agent of a mother is willing to compromise, but we'll have to wait and see. I'm going to wrap the video up here, guys. Thank you very much for joining me on the show today. I will be doing a video a little bit later on today. I think it's probably going to be at about 4 o'clock. So I've got some things I need to do this evening, but I'll be back at 4 o'clock. I hope everyone has a lovely day, whatever you're doing. Please don't forget to smash a like on the video before you go. Please subscribe to the channel if you're new. This has been Daily Red Devil. Have an amazing day, everybody, and I'll speak to you all at about 4 o'clock UK time.